So we're going to go ahead and create a new scenario so that we can answer all the questions from YouTube. And when I come down here, it should, hide the chat box so you don't have it blocking your screen. So yeah, let's start off with the simplest questions. I have this list that I put together of the questions. So Barrett Ross asks, is there guns in this game? Yes. Yes, there are. What do we give player 2 for our scenario of testing the guns? We'll give them some anti gunpowder units. What is it? See how long you can stay alive. Dude, that sounds so terrifying. The rev sound and then just. I feel like I'm in a mobster film. Alright, so that's enough of that. Yes, there are guns. Let's move on to the next question. Hello, Nikita says. Can I set the starting town center's position as I want? Is there an option for that? I don't want a random spawn. Thanks. Yeah, so I think what Nikita is referring to is, let's just blank map and we'll set it for, boom, reset the map. It's not grass, but it's close. Actually, let's just do farms because that's fun. Yeah, you can go ahead and go into units. So we are in player 1 right now. We go down to our building, town center. Typed in T. Boom. If you want the players right next to each other, have a place SimCity together, player 2, town center. Let's go ahead and go to players tab and set them a little bit of food so that they can start on their adventure. We'll give them a little wood too so they don't get housed. There we go. So there we go. We have people starting at the UTC. Can create villagers. Red will be focusing at the same point. I believe red will make villagers. We'll see. Yeah, there you go. Red's able to make villagers from the town center as well. And just go explore the map together. Yeah, we'll build houses together. Nice, friendly game of SimCity. Alright, so that's the first 2 questions answered. Hello, Colin. I got a map for the Definitive Edition. I added 8 civs to the map, but whenever I start the game, several of the civs are switched around in player 1 position. I select moves me to another position. I would appreciate any fixes. Alright, oh yeah, we're already in here. So let's just go ahead and set number of players to 8. Boom, and we'll make all the extra other TCs here in the middle. So go to units, buildings, T, come down to town center. Town center packed. Okay. Come down to player 3, player 4, player 5, player 6, player 7, and player 8. And then when you go to players, you can click the lock civ button for each of the players, and it'll set their civ to whatever you decide for them. It's interesting that architecture tab is a separate option. So if you're Franks, for whatever reason, you can give them the, I don't know what would be weird, the Vietnamese architecture. So if we go ahead and test this, a lot of the players won't have any oh, architecture is all the same during Dark Age, maybe? So I'll change it to Feudal Age start. We'll go to Who did I give? I was player 2, gave Vietnamese. So we give them feudal age. Yeah, there you go. They have Vietnamese architecture all of a sudden. Spanish, Khmer, so you can change the architecture, but they are still Franks. If you go to units, you can see player 2. What? I don't know why it says Persian Town Center. Let's go ahead and test it again, and we'll click on them, and it should say that they're Franks. Okay, she started with a villager. I'm not sure how that happened. Oh, because she's mines. Gotcha. So you spawn with an extra villager, which means just add one, which actually answers one of the future questions coming up. So let's go over to the Franks. Well, you can actually just see it on the right side here, that they are Franks, and they are in feudal age because I set them to start in feudal age. And so he's building a market, Franks market. Look at the architecture, it's Vietnamese. So that answers, I think that answers that question. Let's reread it. 8 civs to the map. Whenever I start the game, several civs are switched around in player 1 position. I select moves me to another position. Yeah, if you click lock civs, the civs will be set in place. It's probably that you're making that same mistake that I was earlier, where when you go to players, you're clicking the wrong option when you're setting the civ. And just make sure you have that lock civ button checked, and you should be all good to go. Next one, Dark Age start for Chinese or other civs with their bonuses. That's like shorthand of my notes for what the question was. Go over to single player, skirmish, and instead of random map, we are going to be clicking custom scenario, the one we just saved. And so all of these are set civs, which I realize now are going to prevent me from actually testing this. So let me go change that, and we'll play as Chinese. It's already saved. I am now Chinese. And we have resources as standard. AI difficulty doesn't matter. And we'll go ahead and shared exploration. Oh yeah, reveal map, all visible. That will help. Cool. So you can overwrite the starting age here as well if you want to do that. Oh, what do you know? I'm Chinese. Look at that. I have my 2 extra villagers. So yeah, I'm not sure what the issue was. I have no resources because I didn't give myself any resources, or sorry, 3 extra villagers. That's what Chinese get. Next question. In the other section, I don't have as many options as you. For example, types of mountains, types of rocks. Greetings from Chile. Please help me. So let's go back into our scenario editor. And I think this is probably the most common question, is people not finding like how to add gold to the map, because right now we have no resources for our players. So unless we wanted to go to map and click random map and just add add a bunch of forest, there's no undo, so I guess I can just show you. Generate map, yeah, it adds forest, but that's not exactly what we want. There's again no stone or gold on the map. So let's go ahead and reload the scenario. Oops, I don't want to save. Wait, what was the option? Load scenario, answering YouTube, yeah. There we go. So if we just want to add individual units, we have to be on Gaia. So when you're player 1, no butterfly options, go to Gaia. 3 different butterfly options. And what was specifically asked for? Mountains, types of rocks. So I believe it would be, yeah, he was asking about other specifically. So go to M for mountain. And apparently mountains can't be built on top of farms. Interesting. I guess we'll delete these TCs. So we'll go to terrain. And we will, not terrain, sorry, map. Set it to tiny. And the terrain will be grass 2, which I think is my favorite. Yeah, look at that lush grass. And now if we go back to units and we're on Gaia and we go to other, look at that, we can place these mountains. We can rotate. No, we can't rotate mountains. Mountains are set in stone. Get it? And what else was asked for? Types of rocks. Let's see what rocks we have. Rock 1, rock 2, And so these, you'll notice, have various formations. So rock formation 1 actually has what looks like a few, let's see, few different formations. And what you can do is click the rotate button and it'll alter between the rotations. So if you want all of them to have like this phallic looking structure, you can just keep rotating them until they all look that way. Maybe the geology of the area that you're creating a scenario for only creates rocks in this very specific pattern because of whatever natural tendencies are occurring, whatever it might be. So I think that answers that question. Just make sure you're on Gaia here, and then you get all these options, including relics. Like, yeah, if we go on player 1, we are not able to set relics, but if we are on Gaia, we have all the relics we could want. And then if we go to gold, here we go, gold mine. You can set gold for the players to collect. Same thing with stone. Or not smoke, I want stone. There we go. Stone, and that's pretty important for creating scenarios if they don't have resources. Hopefully there's just micro military because your villagers aren't going to have much to do, I guess, unless you're building things. How do I make the entire map visible explored at the start of the game? So there's a few ways to do that. We could do what we did before, or you could enable cheats. I guess that's the first way. Second way is you could set it visible when you're setting the game match. So right here, or not right there, reveal map. Explored means you've seen it once, like the scout has gone all over the map. Auto scout's done a very good job, but you still have fog of war, or all visible where all fog of war is removed. So that is one way to do it. If we go back to the scenario editor we're working on, the other way is to go to Gaia, other, map revealer. That's what it is. So this also is very difficult to see, but it should, let's try to reveal the corner of the map. I don't remember how large the map revealer are, but this should just reveal it for player 1, I believe. And let's just put a unit here so we can see something. Player 6. Oops, that's not where you have units. Accursed tower of player 6. So we should be able to see that once we test the scenario. Yep, there we go on our mini map. This is what was revealed by our map revealer. So you could attach that to a trigger, but we're not quite at triggers yet. And I think that answers all of the ways I know of, at least, of making the map visible explored. So cheats, Marco Polo. The other is, the second option was setting it visible in the match settings before you start the game. And then the third one is to use the map, what was it called? Map visible? Other map revealer. Okay, third option is map revealer. Next question, is there a way to freely place units and overlap buildings like in HD and Ctrl S? So yeah, before it was Ctrl S. So let's say I didn't want any division between church and state, so I wanted to put a buildings. Cathedral right on top of the town center. I believe it's Alt G. Ctrl G. There we go. So Ctrl G, it lights up yellow, and I can put buildings on top of each other. So there we go. I'm conquering all the opponent's town centers with my cathedral, and it's very ominous. So they should still be able to make villagers. In fact, why don't we test this ridiculous scenario? And I'm going to start as Chinese with 3 extra villagers. Let's see if I can... I don't have enough food to make more villagers. Yeah, my villagers are stuck, and let's wait the 30 seconds for the Franks to make their villager and see if it's stuck as well. Maybe he just didn't even want to. Oh, there he is. He was able to get out. Okay, so I placed my cathedral in the wrong place. So yeah, if that Frank villager can find any resources in the market, maybe he'll win this match. Only time will tell, and I'm not waiting around. Alright, so yes, Ctrl G is the way to overlap buildings on top of each other. Benny says, copy is so brilliant. I like sparse forests that people can walk through, so it'll be much faster than placing individual trees. And then it could also be used to make bases have equal resources, blah, blah, blah. Yes, I completely agree. This is a new feature in DE that was not in HD. So let's go ahead and try to make his imagined forest. I'm going to change the terrain away from farms because farms seem to have an issue with some objects spawning on them. Alright, so let's make this... there's not much grass in a forest because... let's generate. The trees, the canopy, kind of shade out most of those herbaceous ground covers. I guess we could change it to leaves. I think that's an option. Or I have an idea. We're going to go for an autumn forest. Very nice looking. And we're just going to delete some of these trees. Maybe a clump. Maybe some beetles came in and ate some of the trees. And or they just fell naturally. A windstorm came in. What else? How do I make this look more natural? Maybe there's a stream coming through parts of the area. I don't want to do a stream. It's going to make it more complicated. This doesn't quite look very random. Maybe there's a power line coming through because, you know, medieval power lines make sense. So this what is this? Northeast, southwest running power line. Maybe it's just a game trail. So we've thinned out the forest a little bit. We're allowing for some walkability in the forest. To the terrain. Yeah, map copy. And we'll click go to copy mode. We will select, oh, the select always throws me off. There we go. That should be nice. And we'll get out of copy mode. And we can just paste this wherever we want. And it looks pretty good. It's fairly random. We can drag too. And it creates these interesting gradients of trees. The same tree all over the place. So if we were on Zillow, for those of you not familiar, Zillow is a site where you can find homes and apartments. And let's go ahead and rotate it too because all the lines seem to be going the same direction. But if this was Zillow, let's try to find out what the walkability score is. So I'm going to give myself a cavalry archer. And we're going to try to walk around this forest. I'll give myself a couple. Test the walkability of the forest. So we'll select all these guys and just have them head down. Oh, looks like my walkability is a little limited. But I think we get the idea. You just need to limit the number of trees a little bit more than I did there. How can I change the sprite stance of a unit? I want to take a photo of a monk in the middle of healing. So I went back and forth with Matt. This is one of the questions I actually answered on YouTube. So if I give myself a monk, I need a monk. Man, you're small. So what Matt wanted was a monk that was like in the middle of healing with his arms outstretched, presumably for like a meme or a YouTube thumbnail or something like that. But he could use the sprites that are in the game files. But anyways, I think what I got out of that is how do you rotate things. And I showed you the guys that earlier. Here's the monk rotating like it's on top of a music box. It's not, instead of a ballerina, you just have a fat bald guy. So yeah, very pretty. And then again, if you wanted to rotate, you can't rotate buildings, but if you wanted to rotate, oh yeah, dismantled. No, I want to do some terrain or fruit. Can you rotate fruit bushes? Oh, I have a mod on, spring mod. My fruit bushes are pink, but yeah, you can rotate and it changes the appearance. It's not really rotated. Still rotating. And then we get into the comments about the original tutorial itself. So this first person says, before publishing a tutorial about anything, make sure you understand it yourself. Yeah, thanks for the constructive criticism. Dap says, you explained triggers pretty well, or pretty good, thank you. Ben says, si tu t'y connais bien, tu devrais faire une seconde vidéo sur les triggers pour aider les gens y à voir plus clairement. So what he's saying is, if you know it well, you should make a second video on triggers to help the people see it more clearly. And then Dowd says, nice, respect from Indonesia, smiley face. It seems like people from other countries are fans of adding smiley faces. You know, I appreciate the spread of love, YouTube. The next part will be more about triggers. They take a little bit more brain power than just sticking Fat Bald Man onto a flat piece of grass.